Howdy, Dan Bass here again with Bass's Backyard Barbecue. About to show you all how I prepare my famous baby back pork ribs. I do a dry rub with them, just a few spices, nothing too fancy. And after they've sat with their dry rub on them for, I don't know, maybe about an hour, we put them on the smoker for a pretty good while, get a nice smoke rind on it, and then I wrap them up in foil and either stick them in the oven inside, or I can leave them out on the grill. Just kind of depends on what mood I'm in. Anyways, most of the flavor in the baby back ribs comes from the sop that you put on it while it's smoking and the type of wood that you smoke it with, and of course the length of time and the temperature that you leave it on the grill at. So we'll cover all those bases throughout this video. Okay, thanks for joining me. Let's point you down here. Check the ribs out. All right, these are fresh, never frozen. Nothing too fancy about that. You want to get decent quality pork meat, and like I do with all my meats, as soon as I take it out of its wrap, I rinse it off. So let me get it over here into the sink. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and cut this up in 3 sections because it's a pretty big rack of ribs. It doesn't matter if the sections are equal, I'm just cutting them so they fit on the grill better. And also, throughout the cooking process, I'll rotate them around inside the smoking chamber so they all get kind of the equal amount of heat coming out from the firebox. Alright, if you just kind of lined them up or left them whole as a rack in the smoker, one side would get more tender than the other side. So I like doing it this way. But do it however you want, as long as everything gets cooked and smoked and tastes good. Everything that I do on my YouTube cooking show here is it's my suggestions. It's the way I do it. For me, it's the right way. For you, you might want to try something different. But take my ideas, use them, change them, call them your own ideas. I don't care. Just leave some comments below to appreciate me putting this up. I appreciate y'all watching, and I hope you appreciate me putting it on. Alright, point you back down at the ribs. Okay, here we are with the ribs again. Rinse my hands off. And with my ribs, I'll go ahead and show you the spice combination I use. Pretty much always apply ground or dried garlic powder. Liberal amount. No measurements are required or even allowed in my kitchen. Okay, so I've got garlic powder base. To that I add cayenne pepper. When you're cooking baby back ribs, at least the way I do it, you need some heat and you need some sweet. So the heat is going to come from the cayenne and a little bit of smoked paprika. That's one of my secrets, I guess. Not anymore, but I always put paprika on just about everything I cook. Okay, so we have garlic powder, we have cayenne, and we have smoked paprika. Just like I put on the fajitas in my last video. Add this on. Piloncillo. Piloncillo. My goodness, I'm terrible at pronouncing that word. Piloncillo. I'm assuming I'm pronouncing it correct. Maybe I should look that up. But this is that the Mexican brown sugar. Adds a great flavor to any meat that you're cooking. I really like it on pork, but it does pretty well with beef as well. Use the grater on it. Alright, so we got the sweet, and we got the heat, and I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of a secret spice here. Can't give you all my tips. There we go. That'll be much more better. Okay, so from here we just put in a Ziploc baggie. And then it needs to sit in the fridge for, I don't know, probably about at least an hour, if not a little bit longer, before you put it on the smoker. So the flavors have a chance to kind of get below the surface of the meat a little bit. It's not like when cooking at fajitas, it doesn't need to sit on there forever. Fajitas don't stay in the grill for very long. They don't. Let me go ahead and point you up here. In my last video with the fajitas, remember I left the spices on it and left it in the fridge for overnight until later on the next day before I put them on the grill. But with ribs, they stay in the smoker a lot longer, so they get a lot of flavor from the sop and a lot of flavor from the smoke. The fajitas stay on the grill for about 45 minutes at most, with a little bit of smoke, and then put them directly over the fire to finish off the cooking process. So you got to season them longer for them to get the good flavor from all the seasoning. With the pork ribs, they get so much flavor from the sop and from the smoke that when you put your dry rub on them, they don't have to sit for very long. Just let them sit long enough for the flavors to get just below the surface of the meat, and then the cooking process pushes it the rest of the way through. All right, so that's why we're not leaving it overnight. Okay, get the Ziploc bag here. And just kind of massage the bag a little bit. Helps push the flavors in a little deeper. Anytime you're putting meat back in the fridge, it's a good idea to double bag it, just in case that the first bag has a hole in it. You don't want it to drip everywhere and upset the lady in the house. Yeah, no need for that. Alright, so this will go into the fridge, and I'll pull it out about 30 minutes before cooking time, so it has time to kind of come down to room temperature. It's always better to put meat on the grill after it's come down to room temperature. That way the grill doesn't have to basically defrost the meat and then cook it. It should just go straight into the smoking and cooking process. Alright. And since I already have my countertop a little dirty with pork, since I'll already have the grill going, we'll go ahead and put these two bone-in pork chops that I've got. They needed to be cooked anyways. This is another one of those things that all you have to do is put seasoning on it and stick it in a Ziploc bag and leave it in the fridge for, I don't know, a good hour or so before you put it on the smoker, because these are thick. They'll end up staying on the smoker for a total of about 2.5 hours, maybe a little bit less, because they'll go through a smoking process with a sop being applied, and then they'll go directly over the heat in the firebox. They'll go directly over the coals, and then they'll be wrapped up in foil with some veggies to keep moisture in it, and finish cooking that way. So that's the basic gist of how I do my bone-in pork chops. So let's go ahead and season them up. With all the pork that I do, a little bit of sweet and a little bit of heat. And garlic. So there's the garlic powder. Just about out of that jar. Have to get some more for my next project. My heat is once again coming from cayenne pepper. Don't be scared of cayenne. After you cook it and smoke it and you put a sop on it, it's not really all that hot. But it has a great flavor. It has a flavor that doesn't just kind of disappear in the cooking process. So it's worth using, even if you got a Yankee tongue, which I'm sure some of y'all out there aren't from Texas. That's okay. I won't hold that against you. Okay, next, of course, smoked paprika. Go ahead and put that on both sides, just like with the garlic. Remember, everything I'm doing here, it's a suggestion. It's the way I do it. And sometimes I even change up the way I do things. But so take my ideas, take spice combinations, mix them up, experiment with your the different kind of wood that you use to smoke with. Shouldn't really experiment with the cooking time too much. The cooking time I've gotten down to a pretty good science with the meats that I'm known for doing well. The cooking time and temperature, those are pretty specific to get the meat tender and flavored the way anybody would like it. But the flavor combinations of the spices and things like that, have fun, play around with it. Use different sops, put together your own barbecue sauce. When we get into learning about brines, make your own brine combination. It doesn't have to just be salt and water. You can do all kinds of things. So have fun with it. All right, that's an order. Okay, so we got the heat, so let's get the sweet on it. There we go. And the Ziploc bag. Now if you want to, when you go to the meat market, or if there's a really good special at whatever store you like to buy your meat from, you can always kind of do this step, the seasoning step, in bulk. You can get 5, 6, or whatever. You can get a bunch of these, lay them all out, rinse them off, of course, and lay them all out and spice them up, and put them in individual Ziploc bags that are freezer proof. It'd be a good idea to wrap it in wax paper first, though, or parchment paper, but just to keep everything from not getting freezer burnt. Stick it in your freezer, then you're ready to grill anytime you want. You don't have to go through this step before putting it on the smoker. You can already be ready. Okay, we're double bagged and in the fridge. Okay, next time you see me, I'll be lighting the smoker and getting the meat on the grill. All right, y'all take it easy.